play with a good amount of confidence here coming into league play.
And Purdue will control the tip, and here we go. Braden Smith, 7 points and 13 assists away to become the second ever with 1,500 points, 850 assists, and 550 rebounds. That is certainly within his reach tonight. Here's Cox curling around for a deep 2, and it gets the home roll.
C.J. Cox has been a little bit quiet over these last 2 games, only averaging just over 6 a game. He's certainly 1 of 5 from 3, so maybe that gets his jumper going from the perimeter with the mid-range.
This offense very efficient against Indiana in the win the other night. This is Jalen Crocker-Johnson, who's 3, rebounded by Smith.
I think Purdue is going to be content to let him pull that from 3 all he wants. 28% from 3 on the season. He can hurt you inside, but I think the Boilermakers are content if he wants to shoot perimeter shots.
Cox the aggressor early with both Purdue shots. The rebound to Langston Reynolds, and he'll push. Now we've got a whistle, a collision, and a foul. Braden Smith is at Minnesota.
Well, just when you talk to Nico Medved, you can feel his enthusiasm for being in Minneapolis and how much this program has meant to him and how it shaped his basketball mindset and his basketball journey. A great hire by the university because he's a fantastic coach.
Crocker-Johnson, second 3, second miss. There's Tyson with a rebound.
That's something that Minnesota got with Indiana. They got on the glass, especially in that first half. They had 10 offensive rebounds, and that was a big difference in that game.
There's Crocker-Johnson inside. You like him better in there, just everything but the bucket.
That's where he can operate. Good help from Clough coming over to contest.
Smith around the Clough screen, looking for 3. Off the heel, and Tyson has it ripped away by Kaufman-Renn.
He has been a force on the offensive glass, and after the offensive rebound, then you get those step-in 3s. Braden Smith torching the nets this year at over 41% from 3.
Not only second in the nation in assists per game, hitting some 3s. There's a steal. Smith to the other end, motoring to the rim for 2, and a 7-0 start for the Boilermakers. Isaac Osama trying to figure out some offense. Here's Tyson.
How active has Braden Smith been? His active hands last year, the top 5 in steals in the Big Ten.
Here's Tyson. And again, Crocker-Johnson for 3, and this time he hits with the shot clock winding down.
Well, had to take it, obviously, with that shot clock at 1. And Purdue certainly willing to let him fire away from 3.
He's averaging career highs in points, rebounds, and blocks. He's had a good start to the season, came in with...
For what you're going to build.
Well, we've seen it all across college sports. If you've gotten a new job and you bring in guys that know your system, the rebuild or the build takes a lot less time. Travel on Kaufman-Renn and the turnover.
Iowa State did such a good job of making that pocket pass tough. And when you can get Trey Kaufman-Renn moving and you get him in that disadvantaged basketball where now he's looking to score or he's looking to make a play for somebody else, and that's where good luck stopping that.
On this end, how do you get 10 involved? Tyson's really not had any touch in the flow of the offense so far.
You have to think that, especially with Langston Reynolds out there on the floor, Purdue is really going to help off him. Now, they don't want him around the rim. Crocker-Johnson, you could put him into that category as well. They're going to have to get him moving, and you got to get Cade Tyson involved. And Crocker trying today to hear about how Coach Painter was. And as Andy's veteran report, maybe there were some non-rookie teams that he peeled the paint off of. That might have been some shoddy reporting. But you know what? The games are so fast and furious, you can't lose the game twice, right? Like, it's move on. You got Minnesota. You focus on that.
Gophers a 1-for-6 start to this one. Here's Cox, again aggressive. The jumper won't go, and the rebound ripped down for Minnesota. And quickly up the floor comes Langston Reynolds. He'll go end-to-end, and it's poke free.
And 91% of his shots on the year are at the basket. He is looking to get there. Active hands again, man. But you start rocking that ball, you make it available, and Braden Smith has been so active defensively to start this game.
Here's Tyson, good position inside. Count the bucket and the foul. And that's one way to get him involved in the...
Because it's 86, which is good for second. He has lived at the line.
A guy who last year at North Carolina only averaged 2.6 points per game. Just could not really crack the rotation in any significant way.
Which is kind of crazy just because of you watch him play and the IQ that he plays with. It's kind of hard to believe that he wasn't able to get to the floor.
Well, he's got the build, he's got the game. Yeah. We've seen it early.
Well, and like family-wise, his brother plays for the Denver Nuggets. There's a lot to like about Cade Tyson.
Three-point advantage for Purdue.
Grayson Grove, this is a tough spot for him. 6'9" freshman having to play against one of the bigger and more physical front courts in the country.
Fletcher Lawyer able to pull it away. Daniel Jacobson changing that shot of Cade Tyson on the baseline.
Well, it's not a surprise to see that he's leading the Big Ten in block percentage. You know, certainly his minutes kind of hamper what his numbers will be from a blocks per game, but when he's on the floor, he is altering and blocking shots.
Here's Kaufman-Renn against Crocker Johnson, who's already got one personal foul, and Kaufman-Renn goes right at him.
I just don't think you can get your guys to understand how effective Trey Kaufman-Renn is at getting to his right hand until they get out there and see it in person. You can read it on the scouting report all you want, but he is so good at getting what he wants.
Reynolds trying to get inside. That ball poked out of bounds. It'll stay with the Gophers with 17 to shoot. Coming up, the Hoops doubleheader continues when Wisconsin clashes with undefeated Nebraska next on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Good ball game coming up between those two schools.
How about the start Nebraska's gotten off to? But if they have ranked Mass last year, it's a very different story with Bryce Williams.
That Nebraska team building on their crown championship and carrying it right into this season. Here's Grayson Grove, the three, way off the mark for Grove. That's his first three-point attempt of the season. On the other end, the quick three from Lawyer won't go. There's Braden Smith again.
Fletcher Lawyer got off to that torrid start shooting the ball, but he's now 3 of his last 13 from 3. Through his first little slump of the season shooting it.
There's Kaufman-Renn, backs out for 3, and the rebound to Reynolds.
He can make that. He's only taken 2 on the year. Knocked down 1 of them.
Here, the true freshman from Israel, the late arrival this summer. Minnesota down 5 despite that 2 for 9 start. Here's Asuma. Off the mark 3, and the rebound Kaufman-Renn.
They're going to have to make some of these perimeter shots, and that didn't. Whoa! Wow!
And Matt Painter, you thought he saw a Yeti.
But for the Gophers, you know, they made some very timely second-half threes against Indiana. They're going to need to make them here in Mackey Arena.
Extra pass to Tyson for the open 3. Cannot connect. Offensive rebound attempt inside. Scrum on the floor. It's Asuma who comes up with.
Wow. Minnesota's playing hard. They did against Indiana, and give Nico Medved a lot of credit because that Santa Clara game, it was going sideways. You finish that one good. There's the cutting. Durkin with a great cut.
And count the bucket. Wow. Durkin with the catch. Davidson's top three-point shooter a year ago, brought into Minnesota to provide that spark outside, but a 3 the old-fashioned way, and it's a 2-point game.
He made 150 threes in his first 2 years of college hoops.
Here's Braden Smith trying to answer, and he does.
I love the action, you know, because a cross screen for Trey Kaufman-Renn is going to attract so much attention. It's screen for the screener. Now you get one for Braden Smith, and he finishes it off with the 3.
Smith 8 points, 3 rebounds, and a steal already. Kai Shinholster off the Minnesota bench. Under 10 to shoot. Grove finding Asuma, 2 seconds. He steps back for a 3. Good defense by Purdue. Never got a good look. Meyer around the Jacobson screen. Step back from the elbow from Meyer, and Jacobson there with a rebound. Foul on the floor. That basket will not count. But the foul on the floor against the Gophers, and a timeout on the floor at Mackey Arena with Purdue up 5.
I just think it's awesome both these guys at their alma maters. You see both those coaches, and what an opportunity. Certainly Matt Painter, it's no longer an opportunity. Or more. That's a lot of foul trouble to be dealing with.
Venter can't connect on the free throws, though, and it remains a 14-9 game. Zips it into Grove through the contact, count the bucket in the
afternoon, and then again before the game. And I said, what impressed you most about Minnesota and the way Niko Medved coaches this team? He said one word: cutting. And Robbie's talked about it a lot. The way this team cuts, it stands out on that scout for opposing teams. We've seen it be effective last week against Indiana. And we're already seeing it here in West Lafayette.
You know, Andy, it was interesting. We were both with Colorado State. Whoa, pass. Oh, goodness.
Oscar Clough finishing it off. We saw Braden Smith do that at Rutgers, a similar pass, and Clough flushes this one.
To finish my thought here, we were in Seattle with Colorado State last year at the NCAA tournament, and we talked to Niko Medved about some of his offensive influences, and whether it's the spread offense or some John Beilein 5-out stuff. He's got a lot of really interesting guys that have mentored him and kind of shaped the way he thinks about offense. You're trying to stop the ball with the best point guard in the country. You're trying to get back. That's a tough spot for a freshman to be in.
How confident do you have to be to continually make passes like that in conference games?
Well, he's got the ultimate green light to do pretty much whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, he's proven himself over time. 5 of 7 at the line tonight. Gophers a 3-minute drought, 4 for 17 from the floor and 1 of 10 from 3. Down by double figures for the first time tonight. Cade Tyson, a really good find to get it to Reynolds.
But Purdue just not on the same page there with that post double. They're going to double team in the post. Cade Tyson, a great cut and then a leg whip to get that post up. Your weak side has got to be understanding that as that double comes, you're flooding that side and taking away cutters. There's nobody home for Purdue.
Nice feed. Speaking of passing, Kaufman-Renn.
Same story. Yep. There's just nobody there. Look at Braden Smith.
And rips it away in a foul. That's Osama, who's called for the foul, and Braden Smith getting a standing ovation. He will become Big Ten's all-time assist leader.
Well, that's rare air. I mean, Cassius Winston, Mateen Cleaves, 2 of the best point guards to ever do it in this league. The fact that he's
sandwiching those two guys.
No question. But also from the national assist record, the fact that that's in play with Bobby Hurley, that's incredible.
I was here all afternoon, didn't leave the building, and Braden Smith was on the floor. He was the first player after their shoot around, by about an hour and a half after. He was out here. That's leadership. When your best player, and this was you, Robbie, when you were a player, when your best player is your hardest worker, that sends the message to the rest of the group.
What a pass that was from Braden Smith. Andy, we have an award over here for you for being the first one that the only one that stayed in the building, I believe.
Now, I will say, are we counting the time spent at both of the shoot-arounds? Because only 2 of us were at both today. As Purdue takes it away again.
Boy, Braden Smith's effort defensively, he has been all over the place in this game.
Smith the flip around, and it gets to Lawyer. Kaufman-Renn staying with that one against Tyson. Minnesota just ice cold. Where will the offense come from against this stifling Boilermaker defense?
Reynolds is certainly a guy that can do this, and I like the fact you get the matchup with Jacobson, you take him to the basket. You got a physical big guard at 6'4", 215 with Langston Reynolds. Yeah, Daniel Jacobson is a good shot blocker, but you go right to him, you pivot through. That's a good take. Here's Purdue in the open floor. Braden Smith dropping a dime there to Trey Kaufman-Renn.
Reynolds cannot convert on the 4th and 1 of the first half for Minnesota. Honestly, if you told Niko Medved they were 1 for 10 from 3 and 5 of 18 from the floor, and they were down just 10 at Purdue, he'd probably feel pretty good about that. And lob to Jacobson, and he can't handle the pass.
They're not exactly a team that shoots a ton of threes.
No.
They only attempt 21 a game.
There's Crocker Johnson inside. Braden Smith.
It's everywhere.
Kind of feel like there's more than one number 3 on the floor. Smith to the end of the floor, and he's your team looking to start 2-0 in Big Ten play for the first time. Hard to believe, first time since 2022-2023 that they would start 2-0 if they get a win here tonight.
Just because of how much they've won.
Right, but that's just it. I mean, it's a team that has had dramatic success in that stretch as a Final Four national championship game appearance, but they haven't started 2-0 in that time.
Yeah, believe it or not, I think Robbie had a couple of those upsets early in December. It's only happened 6 times in Matt Painter's career that they've started 2-0. But think about this, the December Big Ten games started in 2017. And during that time, only 2 times, 17 and 2022, did they go 2-0 in December. Now, they still won the league in 19, 23, and 24. Still, it is rare for Purdue to go 2-0 in December.
And the rebound ripped down by Osama. Good play to get his own back. And the 3 from Crocker Johnson will fall in the scramble. Minnesota gets the 3.
Well, what an effort by Minnesota to get that ball back. There was nothing going on offensively. Purdue locking down on the defensive end, but you make an effort play on the glass, and now with Purdue a little bit out of sorts off the offensive rebound, you get a wide open one.
Braden Smith on the drive. His dish deflected to Lawyer. And Lawyer feeling the contact from Reynolds.
No game run. No, I think it's somewhat coincidence that Robbie has called these upsets in December, notably the Rutgers game, if I'm not mistaken. But it is kind of crazy.
You want to bring them all up?
It is crazy. You would assume they always start 2-0 because of their success in the Big Ten. That just hasn't been the case.
If you want to beat Purdue, make sure Robbie's in the building.
Good
Inside
cut.
and the cut to Durkin for 2.
Get a drive on the baseline, and we talked a lot about Cade Tyson as a cutter, but Bobby Durkin a very good cutter as well. Both those guys just know how to play.
Even at points in the paint between Purdue and Minnesota, 12 of the 20 that Minnesota scored have been inside. And you mentioned it, it's not a big 3-point shooting team, so that's not necessarily a surprising statistic. Here's Smith, 6 to shoot, dropping it off for Kaufman-Renn. Good touch from the free throw line.
Pocket pass is so impressive. I mean, he is burning it to his right side and just throwing it right back across his body. We talked about it earlier in the game. When you can get Trey Kaufman-Renn in the short roll, good things are going to happen for Purdue's offense.
What impresses me, Rob, is the amount of control he has on that pass. As Crocker Johnson hits again from 3. He's got all 3 of them.
Yeah, they've been playing off him. And even though his percentage isn't good on the season at 28%, he's made a couple of them. He was a 35% 3-point shooter last year at Colorado State. Purdue kind of daring him to beat him. And early on here, he has made him pay a couple times.
C.J. Cox was aggressive early, drops it off underneath to Jacobson, and Jacobson just bigger than everybody in Crocker Johnson with 2 fouls to boot.
But not an easy catch there from Jacobson. And that bounce pass, those big guys want that thing thrown up. C.J. Cox, even though it was kind of a high bounce pass, that was not easy for the 7'4" Jacobson.
There's Tyson. Held him in check tonight. Crocker Johnson, another 3. This time off, and Kaufman-Renn there to clean it up.
You can see that Jacobson doesn't necessarily love guarding on the perimeter because he wants to block shots.
Lawyer trying to save it. It ends up with Minnesota. Gophers Crocker Johnson rather 3 of 6 from 3. The rest of the team's 0 for 8.
I think Braden Smith kind of got in between shooting that and passing it. Jacobson had looked away, so he was going to pass to him and then saw he wasn't going to catch it or even see it, so he kind of shot it. Ended up being an air ball.
Osama with the 3, and the first non-Crocker Johnson shot that goes in from 3 for Minnesota.
All of a sudden, Minnesota's starting to catch a little bit of fire here from the 3-point line. He said they're going to need to make some timely ones. Same thing as what they did against Indiana. And here to end the first half, they've now knocked down 4 of them.
Smith trying to take over this game. Can't connect on that one. And Cade Tyson corrals the rebound. Some little hesitation.
Cut.
Drop off to Tyson. What is it you said?
On 11 made field goals, and outside of a couple individual possessions, they haven't been overwhelmed by Purdue's physicality. Only a 16-14 points in the paint advantage for the Boilermakers. Now Minnesota throwing a little changeup of their own here, going zone.
Ball pops free. Trey Kaufman-Renn doing some work to try to keep that alive, but it came through Durkin, and he picks up the personal foul, his first.
It felt like Purdue had an opportunity to kind of put Minnesota in a place where, all right, at halftime you've got a decision to make, and kind of put it away. But give the Gophers a lot of credit here. They've hung in there, and they've played really hard in this one. Braden Smith has as well, though. He has been out here competing.
On the push after the Osama Mims. Gets the screen from Clough. That too rebounded by Durkin.
You don't see him miss too many shots like that from 15 feet. He comes off that ball screen, and there's drop coverage, and he walks into one like that. You can almost book it all the time.
Here's Reynolds. Drive it inside, as he is wont to do, and he gets 2 more. It's a 3-point game.
And Langston Reynolds does not care if he's got a 7'4" guy, 7 foot. That does not matter.
And a little uneasy feeling at Mackey Arena right now. 7-0 Minnesota run with a minute to go in this first half.
Purdue loves to attack zones with that ball screen. Braden Smith gets the overload, and I just think Jakari Harris, you can get that whenever.
Oh, and it ends up in the hands of Clough down low on the ricochet. Look what I found. 2 more on the board.
I think with Jalen Crocker-Johnson in foul trouble and just Minnesota's lack of height, that Purdue would be wise to go into Oscar Clough. Go to that paint and make him pay for it.
There's Tyson. Around the Crocker-Johnson screen. 10 to shoot for Minnesota. Crocker-Johnson deep 2, and it rolls home.
He's burned Purdue with the jumper.
Coming up, stick around. The halftime show's coming up, presented by State Farm. Dave Revson, Rayfield Davis, Seth Davis, basketball and Michigan football reaction. The latest on that coming up as the firing of Sharon Moore occurred earlier today. Kaufman-Renn spinning inside. Shot put won't go. We have reached halftime at Mackey Arena, and it's a 3-point. The sold-out crowd trying to do everything they can to jumpstart Purdue. Minnesota ending the half, Robbie Hummel, on a 9-2 run, and Minnesota with the ball to start things off.
Just really impressed by the response of the Gophers. And certainly Purdue having an opportunity to throw a haymaker there and maybe even a knockout punch, and Minnesota didn't go away, made a couple timely threes, and I've just been a little surprised that Purdue hasn't looked to maybe utilize their size and their advantage on the inside a little bit more.
Especially with the foul trouble we saw from Minnesota in that first half. It's not like Purdue took full advantage of it.
No, only an 18-16 advantage on points in the paint. I would be shocked if Purdue does not go inside every time to start this second half.
Here's Durkin with the 3. Pinballs out into the hands of Cox. Keeps it a 3-point game.
Purdue fortunate there. Durkin flying off that screen. I thought Clough could have maybe jumped off and at least showed a little bit. He got a great look.
Kaufman-Renn now against Kate Tyson. Just banging his way inside to the rim for 2.
That's by design. I don't know why Purdue would go away from that at all until Minnesota brings a post double.
8 points, 5 rebounds now for Trey Kaufman-Renn. Reynolds on the spin inside. Good defense by Kaufman-Renn.
Just walling up, not giving up an angle and making a smaller player score over the top of you.
Lawyer, good look in transition. His shot is just a little bit off right now. We've talked about it as we check in with Andy Katz.
Well, exactly what Robbie said is what Nico told me when he was really impressed with the way his team withstood that first punch, where they just got up, sort of knocked to the floor and came right back up. They were really impressed, or Nico was really impressed, in the ability for Minnesota to stay with it, get good shots. He's very pleased with the shot selection thus far, and really the way they've been defending it. There is some concern, of course, with 2 fouls with Asuma, Crocker-Johnson, and Reynolds. They're just going to have to manage that throughout the course of the second half.
All right, Andy, thanks so much. What have we seen from Purdue to start the second half? Back-to-back feeds to their big men. 2 easy buckets a result. Clough now into doubles with 10. 7 to shoot. Tyson against Cox, and a foul. Reaching in, C.J. Cox picks up the personal, his second.
He gets a little handsy there with the reach, especially when you know that Clough is coming to double on the backside there. He's coming on the baseline side. Shot clock winding down, and kind of bail out Minnesota on that possession.
See if the Gophers can cash in here. Down by 7 after back-to-back big men put it in on the other end for Purdue. 4 to shoot. Durkin against Cox, and Kaufman ran the rebound.
You want Bobby Durkin putting it on the floor. He is out there to shoot threes. Can really cut off the ball, but when he's off the bounce, that's exactly what Purdue wants.
Smith for 3. Go inside, open up the outside, and open up a 10-point lead. Tyson, elbow jumper. And the rebound, Clough. 0 for 4 from the floor to start the second half for the Gophers. Cox. That 3 will drop. Minnesota with. Unlike Katz, is my report erroneous?
No, yours is actually accurate. Andy's, I don't know. We got to fact check him over there.
What a start to the second half for the Boilermakers. 4 for 5 from the floor with 4 different players making a field goal to start this second half. And their largest lead of the night at 13.
Well, how about C.J. Cox there off the ball? Takes away the Cade Tyson cut, and then Braden Smith another steal.
Here's Lawyer on the run. Count the bucket and the foul.
Floor. And good for Fletcher Lawyer to see something go down.
And an offensive rebound. Kaufman renders Lawyer's 3. It's good. A 15-0 run. And Purdue's taking control. Off for Crocker Johnson. Rebound, Kaufman rips it away from Osama.
There's a different feel for Purdue on the defensive end of the floor here in this second half. Just a much greater sense of urgency.
Numbers associated with non-conference games.
But you combine the teams they've had plus the environment, and that's where you get that percentage. What a math problem
That was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was told there'd be no math.
That's right.
But Clough inside with another easy 2, and it is all of a sudden a 20-point game and a 17-0 start to the second half.
You think the message at half for Purdue was to hammer it inside? Because they certainly have done just that. Mixed in some three-point shooting off some great looks, and their offense all of a sudden rolling.
Minnesota still looking for their first points out of the locker room. Reynolds bumped on the baseline by Clough. That'll be a foul on Purdue's big man, but a timeout on the floor. And as we go to win number 200, but Payne a long ways from Coach Izzo, not as far away from Gene Cady.
No.
33 wins to his head coach for Purdue's all-time winningest coach.
Well, just you look at that graphic. How many good coaches are there? Everybody's a good coach in the Big Ten. Right? It's really awesome when you look across the league at the talent that we have at molding these young basketball minds.
And how cool is it that we get to go watch their practices and talk to these guys and learn about basketball?
Yeah.
How about Braden Smith? He has been all over the floor. That's a shot clock violation.
Oh!
Oh! But it didn't happen. So he did not miss the dunk. Here's Lawyer, a little confidence, a little pep in his step now after a couple went in, and a good feed down low to Daniel Jacobson.
Well, a great decision, right? Because he's such a weapon shooting the ball. You've got 2 Gopher defenders jumping out at him. And after you've now made a couple, the team's going to start guarding you different. You're going through a slump. They obviously respect his ability to shoot. But after he's made a couple now, it's a different animal. That's making the right read.
Smith again. Jacobson doing some work in the block. He gets the feed. Double shows. Back out to Cox for 3. Kaufman another offensive rebound. The putback won't go, but Jacobson there to clean it up.
And this is what you feared if you were a Gopher fan or even on the Gopher coaching staff, was that Purdue could just overwhelm you with their size, their physicality, and their offensive rebounding.
Still looking for points to get on the board in the second half. They'll try from the corner, and that 3 will not go. And Braden Smith boxing out Bobby Durkin to get the rebound. Here's Lawyer off the shot fake, driving it inside and out of bounds. Yeah, no whistle, and Matt Painter can't believe it.
In transition, Purdue playing off a closeout here. Crocker Johnson does leave his feet there. He's close to that restricted area.
So Purdue content right now with a 19-0 run to start the second half. And still a lid on the basket for Minnesota, and we've got a foul going. Well, there are 4 fouls on Asama now. 3 on Crocker Johnson. Here's Smith. Wow, to Jacobson, and the alley-oop flushed home. 21-0. A 3-touchdown burst out of the locker room for Purdue in the second half.
Just like that, they're up to 30 points in the paint. It was a clear directive, whether it's in the post up, off the drive, out of pick and roll. They were going to throw it inside.
And finally, Minnesota cracks the seal on scoring. 19-0 for Purdue before Tyson is able to get on the board. What a job they've done on the second leading scorer in the Big Ten tonight with just 7 points. Trey Kaufman-Renn. The paint points soaring right now for Purdue. You called for it to start this second half.
And Minnesota just doesn't have an answer. Whether they go man or they go zone, the size and the physicality of Purdue has just overwhelmed them in the second half.
Tyson off the Reynolds miss. His shot blocked away. Kaufman-Renn peels it away. Jacobson. Tough catch, and it's knocked out of bounds. Let's go back to the play a moment ago to Jacobson.
This time it's out of the pick and roll. You're bringing your big out. He sets the screen, and now you're rolling. There's just nobody home. You got Trey Kaufman-Renn ducking in on the strong side, occupying that help. Same exact play. I mean, you've got Kaufman-Renn. He's ducking in. He's occupying defenders. And with Jacobson's size advantage, it's just throw it up there and let him go get it.
Tyson inside and a travel.
Played on that USA Basketball U19 gold medal team that was coached by Tommy Lloyd of Arizona. Played with Koa Pete, AJ DeBonsa. You could see how confident he is. Now in his game, he's gotten bigger and stronger. He needed action like that over the summer, and it's really helped him.
And it's helped Purdue 27-2 in the second half for the Boilermakers.
Well, Minnesota's 2-3 zone has not had much resistance, and Trey Kaufman-Renn is just flashing in there and shooting floaters off of one pass.
Trey Kaufman-Renn, 5th double-double of the year, 9th of his career. Been a real workman-like double-double, and again, Andy talked about no paint peeling after the Iowa State loss for Purdue in the locker room. I can't imagine Matt Painter spent a lot of time peeling paint off the walls at halftime of this game, but it does appear that they said, get it inside.
Yeah, we have to be more focused in the attack, is I'm sure what their message was.
And clearly message received. Reynolds, 3 on the shot clock. Crocker Johnson.
He doesn't know it.
Has to hoist quickly, didn't get it to go, and there's Braden Smith again. (27-2) in the second half for Purdue.
Kevin, we've seen Braden Smith do a ton of incredible things offensively, but just in terms of his defensive effort and the energy that he's extended on that end tonight, it's just about as good as I can ever remember.
It's as complete a game as I think we've seen in a long time.
His offensive abilities and his performances are what they are. He's certainly been better on that end than we've seen tonight, but the defensive effort here has been outstanding.
And a whistle away from the ball. He's 4 rebounds away from a triple-double, and I will just point out, he's 4 rebounds and 5 steals away from a quadruple-double.
You better start gambling if he's going to get to that.
And if you're wondering, it has happened before. Lester Hudson, in the 2007-2008 season, recorded the only quadruple double in NCAA Division I men's basketball history.
Look at you diving deep.
You got to find that answer, because if that happens tonight, you got to be ready. He did it against Central Baptist College. 25 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals. It's a good night.
I would say.
Braden Smith hunting down that quadruple double. Can't get a steal here, but we'll go with that story.
You get a turnover though, man. But
that doesn't count in your quadruple double.
That's like, you know, him and Jack Benter are having a conversation here, and that's probably a bit of a force. But I felt this when I played with Ricky Rubio. You better be ready, because this dude can embarrass you and hit you in the face with some passes, right? Like he just, you better be aware if you're cutting, if you're you know, even if you're hanging out on the three-point line, he is going to see you. His vision is incredible.
For a time, Ricky Rubio might have been the best passer.
No question.
Tyson, 5 to shoot. Crocker Johnson to work against Benter. Clears some space and gets the 2. Crowd, as you might imagine, not.
They thought maybe a little discard there with the off arm.
Makes it a 29-4 Purdue advantage in the second half and a 64-36 lead on the scoreboard.
I love running these handoffs for Lawyer to get to his right hand. That was pretty well defended, but then you handle all of it.
9:36 to play in this one. Purdue trying to move to 2-0 and 9-1 on the year. Smith turns, tough shot, and he made it look easy against Kate Tyson.
But what patience there. He gets to the body, he knocks you back, he shows the shot fake, and then it's the footwork. And understanding that when you jump stop, you can always get to your turnaround jumper. That's a dime.
That is a real nice feed and a good cut by Kai Shinholster.
When Minnesota moves that thing from side to side and they just flow in there, those back cuts can be so challenging to defend.
We saw it in the latter half of the first half. That's how they got back into this game. They skip into the corner. Harris's 3 is good. Jakari Harris on the assist from Braden Smith, and Purdue's hit their last 8 shots.
Just can't take it all away. You're so concerned about Braden Smith with the ball. You're so concerned about the roll man. You've got to give something up, and that's going to be those weak side threes. If Purdue's making those, that they are in business.
Grove, man, vision there. Osama back up top to Crocker Johnson. He had the hot hand from 3 in the first half. Rebound tipped into the hands of Osama. Crocker Johnson.
Close out there by Jack Benter. He'll take away the jumper, take away the bounce. Good defense.
6 to shoot. Grove. Osama's going to have to hurry. Back out to Tyson for 3. And Crocker Johnson called for the foul.
Because 6 of his 10 games with 4 fouls or more. He's too important to this team. They need him on the floor. He's felt like he's been in foul trouble every game.
And you don't have the depth to withstand losing him every game.
To pull that one so easily.
Yes, you and I were both there to see the start of Nebraska's run, which began because they didn't make the NCAA tournament after losing to Iowa in the regular season finale last year.
But they changed the Big Ten tournament. Essentially, think about some of the changes that get made, because you're like, well, you can't take your team's opportunities away. It was a learning experience for all. We'll say that.
Yes.
You add more teams, you just have to go through some growing pains.
There will never be an announcer who utters again they did not make the Big Ten tournament.
That's right.
No, I'll make it. It's Braden Smith. Extra pass. Benter for 3.
Braden Smith was surveying the whole way, all the way to under the rim.
Tyson on the drive. Oh, what a challenge. That's a great look.
That was.
Our camera above the backboard. Drones with
operators killing it.
Oh, yeah. There's Harris. 15 to shoot, under 7 to play in this one. Braden Smith zips the pass. Myers, 3 is good.
That's a big shot for Purdue, and certainly for Omer Meyer in general. Just with some of the struggles shooting the basketball over the last 2. He hadn't made a 3 in that stretch, and certainly he's a guy that has shot better with the rhythm of the dribble. He's been much better off the bounce, especially from 2.
Good feet inside, and awesome.